More than 10 methods can be applied on the same exercise to increase flexibility. In this video, we're going to see how to apply the newest method to increase flexibility, the contract passive range, on the side split, pancake and Taylor's pose. For those that are unfamiliar with this method, it's a method that focuses on increasing strength at your maximum range, which in turn dramatically increases your flexibility too. You can learn all the details about this method in my previous video, and here we're going to see how to apply it in 3 key exercises for the side split. Now, before we start, I want to remind you that the contract passive range method is basically an isometric contraction close to your maximum passive range. And that's why the name is contract passive range. This would be from 80% stretching intensity and above, with 100% stretching intensity being your maximum range in an exercise and also your most painful spot. So in every exercise, I'll first show you how to get on that range and then how to contract the targeted muscles. I won't be talking about intensity, rest, frequency and the rest training variables because you can find all of these on the dedicated video I've done on this method. Now, with that being said, let's start with the side split. The optimal mechanics in this position are with a significant anterior pelvic tilt and your hips behind your heels. To do the contract passive range on this exercise, you first need to get close to your maximum passive range. The active range on the side split is considered the lowest you can get without support, and from the point that you need support and all the way to your maximum range is your passive range. Now the contract passive range should be down close to your maximum range, so from 80 to 100% stretching intensity. Now that you are in your passive range, you need to contract the targeted muscles. But how to contract the targeted muscles of this exercise, the adductors, in this position? To do that, you need to slightly bend the knees while you also push them downwards. Don't try to push with a straight leg because this will not make any sense. To activate the adductors properly, you need to bend the knees inside, but of course don't overdo it. Once you create that slight bend, you'll feel the activation on the adductors. Keep this contraction for the entire set. Once you're done, get out of the stretch, rest and prepare for the next one. That was the contract passive range side split. This contraction looks a lot like the PNF contract relax. So if this confuses you, you can see the video where I explain in detail the differences between these two. Now let's go to the much harder technique of the pancake. The position of the pancake is with the legs open at around 90 to 110 degrees between them. If you cannot pass the vertical position with your torso, use elevation. You don't have to do it with a straight back if you're not close to the floor. Both straight and round back will work for beginners, so if you're struggling with this exercise, don't make it even harder on yourself by trying to keep your back straight. To do the contract passive range on the pancake, you'll need again to get close to your maximum passive range, which is the range that you need support to get to. To activate the targeted muscles here, which are mainly the adductors, you'll need to do an internal rotation of the entire leg. To do that, you'll need to slightly bend the knees while you try to turn your toes inside and touch the floor. In the beginning, you'll have a really hard time doing this and some of you will probably get cramps on your feet. It's an exercise that you'll need time to develop, so don't get disappointed. To make it easier to adapt to this position and contraction, on the range optimization system, which is the system that all my programs are based on, we propose familiarizing first with contract active range on the same exercise and then advancing to contract passive range. This simply means doing the same contraction at a range with less stretching intensity. Once you're able to perform this right, you'll be able to generate sharp progress in your adductors' active and passive flexibility in this position. This contraction, again, is a continuous isometric hold, so make sure to rest after each set. And this is the contract passive range pancake. And last but not least, we have the Taylor's pose position. In this exercise, you need to have your back against the wall and your feet close to your body. Here, the active range is the maximum you can get with your glute activation, and the passive range is where you can go with the assistance of your arms. Once you're close to your maximum passive range, contract the adductors by pushing with your knees against your arms. Keep this isometric contraction for the entire set. This is the contract passive range Taylor's pose. Now that you have seen how to do this method in these exercises, you need to know that there is a reason why this method might not work for you. You see, to take the advantage of the contract passive range, you need to be able to feel and contract the muscles while they're under heavy stretching. If you haven't prepared your body by doing contractions on your active range, it would be a lot harder to do them effectively on your passive range. That's because the more you stretch a muscle, the harder it gets to contract it properly. For this reason, in the range optimization system, we always have a preparation phase that involves passive static stretching, contraction active range, and active dynamic with low intensities. So make sure to plan a gradual progression when practicing these training concepts. If you want to learn more about the contract active range and the contract passive range, you can see this next video.